Harvest 25 is well and truly underway. Matthew Ferguson combine just over there. Can't really see it too well, but yeah, it's very dusty. And the tractor and trailer is somewhere over to the left. Anyway, I've got to sadly inform you that this video is not about harvesting, it is actually about this engine. I know harvest will probably be over by the time this video goes out, because I haven't even started work on it at the time that harvest is happening. Anyway, yeah, this is an engine which you might recognise if you have been watching for quite some time. It was actually featured at the beginning of my Honda engine rebuild, and I've still done nothing with it. So I acquired this engine in equally as bad condition. I suppose it has decayed a little bit more because it was outside for the first few months when I first got it. But I've been trying to dry store it. I think it's been about 2 years since I put it under cover, but the damage has been done. The spiders have found their way in. How dare they? Well, it's very clever actually. It's a good home. But yeah, they've probably vacated by now. But we're going to have to open it up today. I want to get it restored. I think the time has come. Yeah, there's quite a bit of rust. I can't really see too much rot. And for anybody wondering, no, this has not been dipped in acid. I didn't even know people did this, but I was told that there are channels out there that dip stuff in acid. Kind of crazy. Things rust well enough on their own. But yeah, anyway, we are going to restore it. I think it'd be a fun little project. But no, I don't know the history of it. That's quite a good angle to see it at. Okay, so let's try and pull it over. Really should have tried this before, but you can do it with me. Here we go. Well, it does pull over, but it doesn't really recoil. I was actually expecting it to not pull over, so this is a good sign. Anyway, let's get it onto the workbench and we will start to dissect it. Okay, so what I want to do before we actually get into stripping it down is finding its identification number, its model number, its type number, and its code, which also includes the year. It can be on this side, it can be on this side, it can sometimes even be across the top. It does vary. I actually can't see any trace of it anywhere, so that's quite interesting. And I can't see anything on that side. Interesting, it might be in here. I wonder if even this screw will remove. Crispy sounds. Whew, look at that. We may have to source some replacement parts. Oh look, no foam air filter. Look at the state of that. It is like it's been abandoned for, well, decades. Maybe it has. I don't know. I don't know when it was last run, but I would be surprised if it last ran in the last 15 years, to be honest. Yeah, not finding this code anywhere. Well, honestly, I think here would be the most obvious place on an engine of this age. I don't know its exact age. Might have to be a bit more aggressive, I think, with the sanding. I found it. If you get the lighting right, you can just about make it out. It's definitely a Model 8, so it starts with an 8. It looks like it's in a 2, something, and then a 0, possibly a 2 again. The type seems to be quite clear, 0159. 01, and then I'm just actually making out a 6. I don't know if that's the second digit or if it's actually 1960s, like 66. It looks a bit like 66. I really don't know. I'm going to keep cleaning it and I'm going to see if I can get it any clearer. Yeah, I still can't make it out 100%, and I don't want to spend too long on this, but it seems to be Model 8, as we know, and then it's either a 0259 or a 0159. 01 and then 65. It just seems to be 1965. So we're going to go with that for the time being. It might be that once we've removed the cover, we can read the stamping, because it's stamped onto the cover from the other side. Wow. Actually, I'm sort of expecting some of these bolts to shear, although this one seems to be soaked in oil, which is handy and concerning at the same time. Although I think probably we're past the point of being concerned about what might be wrong with an engine looking like this. It's a bit of an adventure working on an engine that's quite so rusty, because most people would just take this to the scrap. Oh, there's no bolt. And a moth just flew out. Sorry, moth. I think I disturbed the moth's home. Yeah, it's quite oily under here. Well, not under the cover, under here. So, what I am immediately noticing, actually, I noticed this before I even started. Somebody has been welding just here. So that must be, it must be the groove where the recoil spring slots in. Must have become elongated, and they've just been welding everywhere, actually, to try and keep it in place. So, yeah, that cover's really not good at all. Okay, interesting place to store your condenser. That should be under the flywheel, not to worry. Yeah, so let's just pop that to one side. I'll have a quick look at the date from this side. Oh, I can't see a thing. I'll give it a quick clean in here and we'll see if we reveal any information. Nah, you can just about see that it has been stamped, but there's nothing revealing. But yeah, it's very clear. It is very clear that it's 1965 and it's Model 8, but otherwise that is as far as it goes. So we'll put that to one side and we can now have a quick clean up. I'm going to fully dismantle this, but I'm a bit concerned about this control bracket. It actually moves. Can you believe it? This control bracket actually does move. No springs, but no springs attached. Should push that. Yeah, I think with a bit of persuasion that will go. Wow. Okay, so I do love these old Briggs & Stratton engines. They're fairly indestructible, evidently. The governor, plastic governor flap is trying to move, but it can't because of this linkage. I think that, yeah, I think the throttle is seized, but we might be able to free that off. I think we probably will be able to, but I can't guarantee anything at this stage. So yeah, oh, actually I haven't even bothered to check the oil because I didn't even think it'd be worth it. Let's have a look. Well, if I can even get into it. Wow. That's the most stuck thing so far. You'd think with it being the oil filler cap, it would be a bit more lubricated. Oh no, it's absolutely full of corrosion. Aluminium oxide, grime. So I wonder if it's got water on the inside then. I wonder if it has actually entered through the carburetor. Let's get into it. So that fuel tank is actually stuck on the intake tube with corrosion. Gonna have to try and pry that off. Whoa, it can't be. It's absolutely spotless. It's like new in there. Let me show you. Let's get a light in there. Just look at that. The pickup tube is there, looking spotless. The bottom of the tank is super clean and dry. So, well, whoever last used this must have emptied the fuel, and that cap is somehow sealed well enough to keep every single bit of moisture out. This is such good news. This is going to be, hopefully, what's going to help with this little project. Not having a rotten tank. Okay, well, we'll make sure no dirt goes into there. How can the carburetor look like that and then on the inside it's spotless? That's just absurd. Okay, anyway, let's move on. Let's get back onto the main engine. Exhaust muffler there. That's just turning freely by hand. This is so random. Some things are really stuck and some things just come straight off. The exhaust muffler actually is what normally gets stuck, but it is very oily again, so I think that's probably helped preserve everything. Somebody must have once tipped it over with oil in. It's gone everywhere. And it turned out to be a good mistake. I think we'll get lucky with this flywheel. We shouldn't need a puller, although we can use a puller if we want to, or if we need to. But I reckon if I can leave it in the right place. Ah, I see. Somebody's already damaged it. That's why there was no bolt in there. So it's a bit of an issue, but this is never going to be a perfect restoration anyway because of the state it's in. Just want to get it running, really. Make it look better than it is. Yes, somebody's already gone down the same route. Okay, let's try and get it off. My apologies for headphone users. I probably should have warned you first. Yeah, so there we go. We've got the flywheel off. First hit. Right, so we've got the points and condenser cover here. 2 small bolts or screws, and it's a bit of a 50-50 actually if there's going to be a condenser in here or not, because we've already found one. Maybe this engine just hoards condensers, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to go with there isn't one in here. Oh no, that's probably a risky thing to say. I'm going to say there is one. Yeah, I'm going to say there is one, because the cover is actually attached. Ah, I got it wrong. I should have stuck with my gut instinct. But this just adds more mystery to the engine. Somebody has actually been in here, taken the condenser out, put the cover back on, put the flywheel back on, reassembled everything, and then just abandoned it. That's probably all that was wrong with it. It probably just had a dirty points and condenser system. Very common on these engines, extremely common. Okay, so we've also got the ignition coil, which is all part of the main ignition. It's all the ignition system, the points, condenser and the coil. They all work together. That one's a bigger one. Oh, look at that hanging on a thread. Just look at that. Well, I can put a new end on if the ignition coil actually works. I suppose we won't really know. There is a test I can do, but we won't really know if it works until we try it. It's pretty grimy. Hopefully that has not worn through. It's where a bolt has been tightened when it's been rotated, a head bolt. But if you do get a hole in the intake manifold, then it's going to suck in air through here and it's going to make the engine surge or just run really, really badly. I don't think it's worn through. Hopefully not. Okay, so I'm just going to remove the points, and then we can delve inside the engine. We also do not want to lose the plunger, which sometimes holds itself in place. Other times when it's a bit worn it can just slide out. It seems to be holding, so we'll keep it in there for now. Worth noting that the crankshaft is absolutely coated in rust, and where the bolt goes is just full of mud, compacted soil. We're going to have to fish around in there, and it's probably best actually if I take a flappy disc to clean this up, otherwise the sump's never going to come off. Now we can remove the sump. Bit of sludge. Nothing too unusual. Water has got into here because there is some rust on the oil slinger. And in this engine, this is solely an oil slinger. It's not a governor as well, because this one has the air vane governor. Yeah, we've got some rust, but it actually isn't that bad. It helps that it must have been still coated in oil when it was abandoned. I'm guessing the engine is still timed. Let's just have a look. If I can even turn it. Wow. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Let's get the spark plug out of there. Let's have a look. There might be a bit of water in here. It does look a bit wet. I didn't think it was... No, it's not for the water I can see in. It really does not want to move. It was moving. Let's have a look here. I think maybe if I put the vice grips just over... Yeah. Don't want to scratch the crankshaft. There we go. It's just, yeah, it's lacking lubrication, that's all it is. So I think that's probably got the timing marks roughly aligned. Let's have a look here. Yep. So it's a line on the crankshaft gear, and it's a dot on the camshaft. So let's now remove the camshaft, the push rods or valve tappets, whatever you want to call them, usually do fall out. And really, very boring, really. There's nothing really going on, which is good. We don't want anything to be going on, because that would probably mean that it'd fill with water and everything would be a disgusting, corroded mess. So this is promising for getting it running again, although we haven't seen the bore yet. We need to see the bore. Okay, so we have got these two tabs, which actually have been removed before and not fully tapped back down again. So somebody has definitely been in here doing things. What exactly they've been doing though is currently unknown. Once this big end has been removed, we can take the head off and then we can slide the piston out. Wow, they're really loose. Yeah, I wonder if this was just like somebody's side project. Maybe they were just teaching themselves about how to reassemble an engine, possibly. They were like finger tight. Not that I would have been able to, but had it just been started up, I think those bolts would have worked loose in no time. If you ever do get an engine which is just a total mystery, it's always worth rebuilding it. So here we have the big end, or one half of the big end. That looks alright. Obviously we're not changing it. So, let's get this head removed. From what I can see through the spark plug hole, the piston looks suspiciously clean. When I say suspiciously clean, I mean lacking carbon, not, not completely oil-free. It has run, I think, since that's been cleaned, but it has been cleaned. Still got carbon and stuff on the valves. Here's our head gasket. Oh look, a bit of valve work been going on here. The valve seat, it's got the dimples, so basically what's happened is the valve seat has popped out, and then it's been pushed back in again, and then you basically hammer with a punch all the way around the outside. In other words, it just basically moves the aluminium because it's such a soft metal, and it crimps it into place. So it's not 100% reliable. I've seen these repairs done before and then have them fail. Not ones that I've done, ones that other people have done, but I think that actually was probably partly due to this method giving uneven pressure. Like if you put more pressure on one side, it can then actually just fracture the valve seat. So it's got to be even pressure. Actually, this one looks like it's got more pressure on this side than it has on this side, because you've got another valve here, so it's difficult to do that. It's just not ideal. The whole situation isn't ideal, but obviously we're going to stick with it today. As I have already removed the camshaft, I can just do it with my finger. There we go, opening and closing the valve. All seems to be working as it should do, so looks like their repair was quite good. Unless, of course, it hasn't run since then. I don't know. Okay, let's get the piston slid out of there. Oh my goodness, we have no rings. The piston has no rings. Why was it reassembled with no rings? I'm going to have to look at this very, very carefully to see if anything is just going to let go. Make sure all the pins are in place. I was not expecting that, especially with how hard it was turning. It was difficult to turn. Okay, this is a bit of a treat, this engine. Let's take a look at the bore. See if we have any more surprises. Yeah, I'm almost certain now that it is just somebody who is learning, which took an engine apart. I don't even know where I got this from now. I have absolutely no memory of receiving it. It's funny. I'll have to try and think back. Yeah, so the bore is a little bit scratched, but they always are. These cool bore engines, which is Briggs & Stratton's term for the aluminium bore. So we don't hone it or anything. We don't need to hone it. And as for the crankshaft, surely there's not any more surprises. We still have the key. No, that seems pretty good overall. Don't think it's bent. I'll just get my straight edge. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yep, I don't think that's bent at all. So, very interesting, I would say. Let's get the valves out, but we're going to get this running. As long as I can find the parts, which I think I will be able to, we are going to get this running. So I'm not really expecting much to be found in here, apart from some valve springs. There we have it. The breather and some valve springs. The biggest surprise really was just the fact that the piston has no rings. Otherwise, this has been just a fascinating disassembly. That's the intake valve removed, and I can see somebody has been grinding this quite a lot actually. This would be to adjust the valve gap. Likewise, there's been some grinding going on. Not a very clean finish at all. And one thing I didn't show you was the underside of the head. Certainly been cleaned out at some point. Not been sandblasted or anything. I always sandblast these. But yeah, been somebody tinkering. It's a good way of learning. It's actually how I learned how to rebuild these engines. I just got a few old engines, disassembled them, rebuilt them. First one didn't work, second one did. But it's a learning curve. You've got to start somewhere. Right, so let's get everything cleaned up. I'll probably use some white spirit. It's a good solvent to clean engine parts. Just before I clean everything with the solvent, I'm going to put it into the hot washer because it will remove all the surface grime, just the general dirt. But this degreaser isn't strong enough to remove the oil, the really thick oil and grease. So it'll need, this is just like a preliminary clean. This is just going to be getting rid of the worst of it. Just heating up currently, 34 degrees. I usually get it to about 60. Okay, so we're going to get this put into the sandblaster. It's a fantastic way of cleaning up these cylinder heads, because you just get this ingrained dirt. And this, yeah, that certainly needs to be sandblasted, because that is looking terrible. You'll be amazed how these come out, especially this. The head will be fantastic. And if anybody says, oh, you really shouldn't do that because bits of sandblasting media get stuck in it, well, it's a lawnmower. Yeah, okay, maybe it's not 100% the best way of doing it, but it is a lawnmower, and especially for this one, it is not even supposed to be a perfect restoration. We're getting a mysterious engine running, so let's see what it can be transformed into. So first of all, we have the cylinder head. Hard to believe it is the same one. Yeah, there's a few little dents in it. I don't know why, they were already there. Somebody must have been poking around at it, but that's that. And then we have the control bracket, which isn't quite as good. I didn't really expect it to be because it was very, very rusty. But the point is, it does function. Just need to sandblast a little bit more in there. But yeah, it does function. And I can get that cleaned out so we don't have any grit left behind underneath that pivoting bracket. Okay, right. So, moving on. We've got this monstrosity to sandblast. This I can already assure you is going to come out pitted. It's going to be pitting because this is fairly corroded. But yeah, just want to emphasize that this is not like a perfect restoration where everything is done pristinely, because it just can't be. It can't be. This thing is in not good shape. I'd have to replace things if it was all going to look absolutely perfect. And yeah, this cover, as much as I'd love to use it, because of the recoil spring issue, I'm just going to find another good one. At the time of sandblasting all this as well, I actually don't know what colour they're going to be. That is down to you. I'm just writing this this post here. It's a poll on my channel. I have a rusty old 3 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine. What colour shall I paint it? There's only an option for 4 different colours, so black, red, blue, green. Let's post that now, and we will see what's going to win. Come to think of it, it might be a 2 horsepower. Anyway, let's get these sandblasted now. Well, I've got everything sandblasted that I want to paint, or possibly powder coat, and it's been now almost 2 days since I sent out that poll, and we've got red here at 44%, so it looks like we're going to be going with red, although there were some pretty good comments as well, such as, well, there were some very good ones anyway, but the ones which stood out were doing it in the bronze colour, which some of these engines were done in, which is a very unique appearance. So that was quite fun. I think we'll do that with another engine though. Well, it's too late because I've already put the selection out, but yeah, another one. And then there were some fairly interesting ones like Dayglow Green, blimey. I quite like this one here actually, a turquoise green, reminiscent of that one old rotary telephone your grandma had. You know the colour I'm on about. Well, actually, I don't know if this was actually originally in that colour. Yeah, you can see the original colour here on the sump quite nicely. I don't know if that's exactly the right shade, but that sort of thing. So yeah, if green had won, I probably would have done it in this sort of green, the original green, but it didn't win. Anyway, it's interesting that red has won this vote because I already do have a red engine recoil cover, which just needs a bit of a clean. It's a bit dirty. I actually did this in a previous video, but that engine got used. The parts for the engine got used in another project, so I just got the recoil cover left behind. Well, that's everything cleaned up. We don't need to go too far with this because, yeah, ideally some parts like the crankcase do need to be changed. It's just going to be so exciting to see this engine run, especially after the mysterious condition that it's in. So I've got some aftermarket piston rings. There's the oil scraper ring. There is a certain order. There's compression ring. And this will be another compression ring just here. So, yeah, I think we've got the instructions just here which tell us which way they go. Yep, so it just tells us we've got the markings on the rings themselves to say which is the top, which side needs to face the top of the piston. So, pretty self-explanatory really. So I'm going to get those rings fitted. I'm actually going to go quiet now. You're probably bored to death of hearing me, so let's get everything built up to the point where we need to fit the valves. So I just put the intake valve in and I'm just measuring it now, and it looks like it probably is already set to the correct gap. So although, yeah, the grinding which somebody did wasn't the best looking, it's actually perfectly fine. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. I now check the exhaust. This one is 0.08 of an inch, and yeah, that is also absolutely perfect. So yeah, we're just going to keep them as they are. So the valves can be refitted, and then I can put the head back on, and then we're going to start building up the top section. So I have already bought the new points condenser, so we'll get them fitted onto there, and then we're going to have to address the ignition coil, which is not looking the best. It's a bit grimy. So yeah, we'll look into it, and it needs a new end. Given the ignition coil a quick degrease, it was very, very oily. Now it isn't. So we're just going to do a quick test just to see exactly what its state of health is like. So if I put it onto the 20k ohm setting, and then if I put the positive lead into the end of the HT lead, a little bit difficult for this one because it is all broken off at the end. And then if we put the negative onto anywhere else, like here, it's a good place, then we should get a reading. And the reading we're looking for is between 2.5 and 5k. So let's just see what we get. And yeah, that is actually pretty good. 2.798. Very good, yeah. So this does point towards a healthy coil despite what it looks like. If the reading was above 5, then the spark would be quite weak. And if it was way above 5, there'd be no spark at all. So anyway, yes, that is a good sign for this. So I think what I'll do is I will put a new end onto it. I'm pretty sure it's still long enough, that lead. And what we need to do is then put a boot onto there as well. So we've got the boot, we've got the end. Let's get them fitted, and then yes, that condenser can be changed. I just got the full kit. So it's an aftermarket points condenser kit. We'll get that fitted just onto there. And as I said, that is the plunger. You need to make sure that it's not too worn. This one actually looks really good. Right, okay, so that is the engine primed and we're now ready to top coat it. That was actually done last night. So I've got this paint here, 3001. I actually can't remember exactly what the number was for this one, but I suspect it was about 3000 or 3001. It's going to be a close enough match. I don't want to be, wasting paint on this engine because it's not the best engine in the world. But one thing that has come out very nicely is this. You can even read the writing perfectly. The air filter cover. So that's nice. So yes, I'm going to get it painted because then we can leave it to dry. And whilst it's drying, I can do things like refurbish this recoil clutch. Because that'll need a good clean and a quick paint as well. And also the carburetor, which is probably going to be the biggest challenge of all. So yes, unfortunately, the biggest issue is still yet to come, potentially. Okay, so let's get this rebuilt. I've just inspected everything. Everything seems to be acceptable. There is a little bit of wear on the lobes where the ball bearings catch, where they're supposed to catch, but nothing too excessive. Now, sometimes there is a little washer in here. This one doesn't seem to have it. Maybe it is too old. Maybe the design is too old. I'm not too sure. But yeah, we put all the ball bearings back into each little compartment. And I have also sandblasted and primed the top cover just to make that look a bit better. And this seal can just go back inside there. Okay, right, so that should be absolutely fine. Yep. So that can be refitted as soon as the engine is ready, but currently it is still drying. So let's move on to the final piece of the puzzle, which is this fuel tank. And, well, as we know, inside it's not bad at all, but look at this. That is completely rusted up. Okay, it's now not quite completely rusted up, but it, yeah, it just needs some lubrication, basically. It does need to move freely though. It's very important that it moves freely. So let's remove the carburetor from the tank, because the tank really is not the problem here. At least I hope it isn't. I hope it's not warped. I hope the surface where the carburetor attaches to it is not warped, because that can happen. But before we can remove that, just need to make sure none of this dirt gets inside the tank. We're going to blow the tank out anyway with an airline, but we can certainly help the situation. Right, let's see what horrors lie beneath. I'm not really expecting too much because we've seen inside the tank and it looks like it is all very much surface level. Or at least confined to the carburetor itself. Wow, they're on the verge of stripping out. Need to be extra careful. And I haven't actually bought a new kit for the carburetor. I am hoping just to clean everything up, but I do have the new diaphragm, because that is essential. Yeah, not too bad. I'm very pleased to announce there is a bit of rust in there. But definitely fixable. So underneath here we should find a spring and a cap for the spring. There it is. It's our fuel pump. So with that off, I can now remove our mixture screw. Wow, that was loose. Very loose. I actually regret not removing the screw first, because that looks to be more stuck. Yes, it is. It's more stuck than the nut. Crikey, yeah, this thing needs a good clean. But I think this really is the last thing. I'm pretty sure the rest of the engine will now run, as long as this is all functioning correctly. Oh yeah, look at that. Lots and lots of powdery corrosion. That actually looks quite good. I think it's been protected. So it's a good sign for everything inside there. But yeah, I need to work this a bit. Yeah, it's just been so many years since it was last used, so we just need to pull it back out of retirement and give it its moment to shine on the internet. I bet it never thought that was going to happen when it was made. That's a vast improvement. So we're just going to get all the other parts cleaned up and then we can reassemble it. And as for the tank, well, there's not an awful lot I can do. I don't really want to repaint it. So I think I'm just going to clean it thoroughly. And there we are, and you're probably thinking, hang on, that cover is not red anymore, how come? Yeah, I wanted to put this on. I really wanted to put this on. I just guessed that that engine had had the air vane governor system, because with that you get a little cutout here. But it didn't. It was actually a mechanical governor engine. I didn't realise. So that engine cover won't actually fit this particular engine. So I've just managed to get this off another engine of mine, but I don't want to paint it because it would be the wrong colour for the engine it came off. So we did get the red, which was requested. But yes, I know it's a bit of a bi-colour scheme. So I actually think it looks quite good. But anyway, the whole point of this video is just to see if it will run. And, well, how well it will run. And do you think we can cut grass with it? It'd be amazing to find out. But there we go. Let's get it fitted to a mower deck. I hope I've got one which will be compatible. Should be okay, because I think they're fairly universal, these holes, the pattern for the holes. But yeah, there we go. A red and white, or red, white and silver Briggs & Stratton engine. Pulled from its grave. And there we have it, not bad in the end. Very sensitive though, it wanted a very, very fine adjustment on that mixture screw. Sometimes these engines just are very picky. But considering what this thing looked like before, it's incredible that it did mow as well as it did. I think we've actually got a full bag of grass here too. We have. Look at all that. Okay, so we're going to put that into the compost bin. And I think we'll probably call this a success. I am sorry about not being able to get the engine cover painted red as well, but at least I managed to get the rest of it red. And I think I'll probably be using this engine for parts for another restoration. That is going to make the most sense, because what it really needs, it needs everything doing to it properly. And the crankcase isn't the best. The valve seat does turn a little bit in its seat. The valve seat turns in its seat, if you get what I mean. But yeah, there we go. Add it to the pile. It's really, really lush grass, this. I normally mulch the lawns though. It's very rare that I bag up. Wow, look at that. Yeah, if you ever want to find creepy crawlers, the compost bin is the place to be. Okay, well, we're going to leave it here. Thank you so much for watching. There are big restorations coming up soon. Please do support the channel. Please do remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.